Yo, what is UP Laker Nation? I need every single one of you to sit down and listen, because what I am about to share with you is one of the most intense, most emotional, most real interviews I have ever seen from an NBA player in my entire life. I am not exaggerating, I am not being dramatic. What just happened on SportsCenter about an hour after Game 4 is the kind of thing that you're going to be talking about for years. Marcus Smart, the 2021-22 Defensive Player of the Year, the man who was brought to Los Angeles specifically to change the Lakers' defensive culture, just sat down on SportsCenter still in his game clothes, still sweating, still visibly shaking with emotion, and absolutely unloaded on everything. His teammates, the organization, the roster construction, and most importantly, himself. I have never seen a player be this honest, this raw, this brutally self-critical on national television. And I need to take you through every single word of it because this changes everything for the Lakers. Let me tell you what happened. So the scene is this. It's about an hour after the final buzzer of Game 4. Thunder won 15, Lakers won 10. The sweep is complete. The Crypto.com arena has emptied out. The boos that rained down at the end of the game are still echoing in the building. And there's Marcus Smart sitting in front of the SportsCenter cameras, still in his Lakers jersey, sweat on his forehead, eyes red like he's been crying. And you know what? Maybe he had been crying, because what happened in that game was brutal for Smart specifically. Hey, what's up everyone? Real quick before we get into everything, that like button is literally what determines if this reaches hundreds or thousands of fans. Takes 1 second, but makes a huge impact on the channel's growth. Just smash that like button right now. It's the easiest thing you can do, but honestly, the biggest way to support this content. Every single like pushes this further, so hit it now. He had that incredible and one layup with 40 seconds left that put the Lakers up 110, 109. For one brief, beautiful moment, Marcus Smart was going to be the hero, the guy who saved the Lakers' season, the guy who forced a Game 5, and then Chet Holmgren dunked with 32.8 seconds left. LeBron missed his layup. SGA hit 2 free throws. Reeves missed the tying 3, and it was over. The dream turned into a nightmare in 40 seconds, and Smart was left sitting there with the weight of an entire failed season on his shoulders. The interviewer started with a simple question. Marcus, how are you feeling right now? And Smart just stared at the floor for about 5 seconds. The silence was deafening, and then he looked up and I could see the fire in his eyes. Not the fire of a man who's giving canned answers. The fire of a man who is angry at the world, at his teammates, but mostly at himself. And then he started talking, and once he started, he could not stop. He said, I came to this team to change the culture. That's what they told me they needed. Defensive identity, toughness, a willingness to do the dirty work, and I believed in that mission. I believed I could make a difference. But what I saw over the course of this season, and especially in this series, was a team without a soul. We were pathetic on defense. We were soft. We let a 24-year-old in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander score 35 points on us in an elimination game like it was a pickup game at the park. We let AJ Mitchell, a second-year player, drop 28 points because we couldn't guard a single ball screen. I have to own that. I was brought here to stop exactly that from happening, and I failed. And then Smart did something I've never seen a player do on national television. He slammed his fist on the table. Hard. You could hear the thud through the broadcast. The interviewer flinched. The camera shook slightly, and Smart said, his voice trembling with emotion, I owe the Lakers fans an apology. Not the corporate apology. Not the we'll be better next time nonsense. A real apology, because I came here with a purpose and I did not deliver. My regular season numbers tell the story. 9. 3 points per game. 2.8 rebounds, 3 assists. For a starting guard on a supposed championship contender, those numbers are embarrassing. I know it. The coaches know it, the fans know it, and I need to be man enough to stand here and own that instead of hiding behind excuses. The raw honesty in that moment gave me chills. I've watched hundreds of post-game interviews. Players always say the right things, they always protect themselves, but Smart was tearing himself apart on live television. And then he pivoted, and that's when things got even more intense. Smart leaned forward, his eyes locked on the camera, and said, but I also need to be honest about what I observed this season because my failure wasn't in a vacuum. This roster doesn't work. period. The construction is fundamentally flawed, and I've been biting my tongue for months because I'm the new guy. I don't want to ruffle feathers, I want to fit in, but we just got swept, so feathers are getting ruffled tonight. He took a deep breath and then said something that absolutely shook me. He said, "We have guys on this team who care more about their individual brand than winning basketball games. We have players who are collecting championship level paychecks and delivering summer league level effort, and that's not acceptable. Not here. Not in Los Angeles, not with LeBron James and Luka Doncic on the roster. When I was in Boston, the Celtics had a certain standard every single night you came to compete. You didn't take plays off. You didn't coast through third quarters. And what did we do in this series? We got outscored in the third quarter of every game except game 4. Every single game, the third quarter destroyed us. That's not bad luck. That's a team that comes out of halftime flat, mentally checked out, not ready to compete." And then Smart got specific. He said, "I'm not gonna name everyone, but I need to talk about what I see. DeAndre Ayton has all the physical tools in the world. 7 feet tall, athletic, strong, but I've been in this league for over a decade now, and I can tell when a guy has the fire and when a guy doesn't. And too many times this season, I saw a man going through the motions, not giving maximum effort on defensive rotations, not boxing out, not running the floor in transition. He gave us 6 points in an elimination game. 6, while Chet Holmgren was out there making the play that ended our season. That contrast tells you everything you need to know. One center was playing with purpose. The other was playing like he wished he was somewhere else." Smart paused and took another breath. The interviewer tried to ask a follow-up question, but Smart cut him off. He said, "No, I need to finish this, because if I don't say it now, I'll never say it." And then he addressed the elephant in the room, the coaching. He said, "I respect JJ Redick. He's a smart guy, a great communicator, but we need to have an honest conversation about our defensive scheme. Oklahoma City exposed us every single game. The Thunder ran the same pick and roll actions over and over and over again, and we had no answers. None. SGA and Mitchell would run a basic high ball screen, and our defense would collapse like a house of cards. Where were the adjustments? Where were the in-game changes? After game 1, we should have had a completely new defensive game plan. After game 2, another one. Instead, we kept doing the same things and expecting different results. That's the definition of insanity. And I say that as the defensive player of the year. I know defense, and what we ran in this series was not a defensive system designed to beat the Thunder. It was a defensive system designed to survive. And guess what? We didn't even survive. The interview went to commercial at that point, and I was already shaking. Smart had just questioned the coaching staff's defensive adjustments, called out the roster construction, demolished Ayton's effort level, and publicly admitted his own failures. This was unprecedented. And then when SportsCenter came back, Smart was still going. He hadn't moved. He was sitting there like a man on a mission to burn every bridge and tell every truth before the sun came up. Smart started the second segment by going even deeper into the defensive breakdowns. He said, "Let me break down exactly what Oklahoma City did to us, because the fans deserve to understand why we lost, not just that we lost. The Thunder run a spread pick and roll offense with SGA as the primary ball handler. When he comes off the screen, you have to make a choice. Do you switch? Do you drop? Do you blitz?" And whatever choice we made, they had a counter for it. When we switched, SGA would attack the mismatch against a bigger, slower defender. When we dropped, he'd pull up from mid-range and drain it. When we blitzed, he'd find the open man for a 3. We had no answers. And the reason we had no answers is because our personnel isn't built to handle that kind of offensive versatility. Smart got more animated as he continued. He said, "Think about what the Thunder have. Holmgren at 7'1" who can shoot threes and protect the rim. Hartenstein who can pass like a point guard from the high post. Mitchell who can shoot, drive, and create for others. Caruso, who's one of the best defenders in the league and hit those back-to-back threes in Game 4 that swung the second quarter. Wallace, who comes off the bench and spaces the floor. Every single player on their roster can do multiple things. Our roster doesn't have that versatility. We have specialists, guys who can do one thing well, but in the modern NBA, one-dimensional players get exposed in the playoffs, and we got exposed And then Smart addressed something that nobody else had talked about publicly, the turnovers. He said, "We committed 12 turnovers in Game 4. That's bad enough." But the quality of those turnovers was even worse. They weren't just careless passes, they were mental breakdowns, guys dribbling into traffic with no plan, passes thrown into coverages that were clearly there if you just looked, and Reeves had 6 turnovers in Game 3 alone. Austin is one of our best players, and he was pressing so hard to fill the void that Luka left that he was making mistakes he would never normally make. That's what happens when your roster is too thin. Players try to do too much because there's nobody else to share the burden. Smart also addressed the energy gap between the two teams. He said, "You want to know the most demoralizing thing about this series? The Thunder's bench was louder than our crowd in games 3 and 4. Let that sink in. We were playing at home, and the visiting team's bench had more energy than our arena. That's because Oklahoma City believes in what they're building. Their young guys are hungry. They come to work every day like they have something to prove. Meanwhile, we have guys who've won individual awards, made all-star teams, earned max contracts, and they're playing like the regular season never ended. There was no playoff gear, no extra intensity, no switch that flipped." And that starts with the culture. Malika Andrews, who was monitoring the interview, asked remotely about whether Smart felt the super team concept could still work with this roster, and Smart's answer was devastating. He said, "This isn't a super team anymore. Let's stop calling it that. A super team requires multiple superstars playing at a superstar level. LeBron is 41. He gave us 24 and 12 in an elimination game at his age, which is incredible. Reeves had 27. Rui had 25. Those guys showed up, but a super team? With Luka sitting on the bench in a sweatsuit, with our center giving us 6 points, with me shooting, I don't even want to talk about my shooting. This isn't a super team. This is a collection of names that looks good on paper and plays like strangers on the court." And then came the most emotional moment of the entire interview. Smart got quiet, really quiet, and he said, "I want to talk to the fans directly. I know a lot of you are angry right now. I know you're frustrated. I know some of you are thinking, why did we sign Marcus Smart? He was supposed to fix the defense. And you're right to feel that way. I didn't deliver what I promised, and that eats me up inside. Because defense isn't just a statistic for me. It's my identity. It's who I am as a basketball player. When I won Defensive Player of the Year in Boston, it was the proudest moment of my career because it validated everything I believe in: effort, toughness, sacrifice. And to come to a team and watch that identity get destroyed game after game after game, it breaks my heart." His voice cracked on that last sentence. You could see moisture in his eyes. And then he composed himself and said, "But I'm not done fighting. I'm 32 years old and I still have fuel in the tank." The question is whether this organization is willing to build a team around the principles that actually win championships. Not star power, not name recognition, defense, effort, accountability. Because right now, we have none of those things. We have a roster full of guys who have been praised their whole careers, and nobody has ever told them the truth. Well, I'm telling the truth tonight. This team, as currently constructed, cannot compete for a championship. We just proved that. 8 games against one team, 8 losses, 0 wins. That's not bad luck. That's who we are right now. And if the organization doesn't make major changes this summer, we're going to be sitting here having this same conversation next May. Smart finished the interview by saying, "I'm going to go home tonight, watch the film from all 4 games, and figure out what I could have done differently." Because that's what real competitors do. They don't point fingers without looking in the mirror first. And my reflection tonight isn't pretty. But I'd rather be honest about my failure than pretend everything is fine, because it's not fine. We got swept by the defending champions while our franchise player watched in street clothes. Nothing about that is fine, and the first step to fixing it is admitting how broken we actually are. Now let me give you my analysis of this, because what Smart just did is possibly the most important interview from this entire elimination. LeBron talked about the front office failing. Luka talked about needing young legs. But Smart did something different. He took accountability. He admitted his own failure first, and then he pointed to the systemic problems. That's what makes this interview so powerful, because when a Defensive Player of the Year gets on national television and says, "I failed, and the system around me is broken," you listen differently. It's not blame shifting, it's honest assessment, and the Lakers front office should be taking notes. The numbers back up everything Smart said. The Lakers gave up 111 points per game in this series. They committed massive turnovers, with Reeves alone having 6 turnovers in Game 3. The third quarter collapses happened in 3 of 4 games. And against the Thunder specifically, they went 0-8 for the entire season. 0-8. That's not a coaching issue or a player issue. That's a fundamental roster construction issue. The Thunder are younger, faster, deeper, and more athletic at every position, and until the Lakers address that gap, no amount of star power is going to close it. And here's the scary part for Laker Nation. Smart might be the most expendable of all the players who spoke today. He's on a 2-year deal, he's 32, his offensive numbers are declining, and if the Lakers decide to go younger, like Luka is demanding, Smart could be the first casualty. The question becomes, who else goes with him? Ayton. That seems likely after what both LeBron and Luka said about him. And what about the draft? The Lakers' 2026 draft position was just revealed at the lottery. Do they have the assets to make a significant trade? Laker Nation, I am begging you to get in the comments right now. 3 players, 3 interviews, 3 bombs dropped, LeBron questioning the roster, Luka demanding a complete overhaul. Smart admitting failure while calling out the entire defensive infrastructure. This is either the beginning of the end or the beginning of something entirely new. I don't know which one it is yet, but I know that what I witnessed today was historic. 3 Lakers players went on national television within hours of being eliminated and collectively said, "This doesn't work and something has to change." That has never happened before in the history of this franchise.